italiano vero.
Okay, so tonight for dinner, we've decided to create something really quick. It's a weeknight. You want to do something quick and simple, maybe 30 minutes, maybe just a little bit longer. But we've decided to have a chicken that is just breaded lightly in breadcrumbs and sauteed in olive oil. A side dish that is beans, potatoes, and arugula, all kinds of things that work really well together. And a beautiful quick salad just of oranges, arugula, black olives, and a quick little dressing. And we're going to pair it this evening with a Venetian Pinot Grigio. I know you're going to enjoy this. It's really easy to make. I'm going to walk you through every step. So we'll be with you in just a minute. So this evening, you know people love dessert, and we're actually going to start with dessert tonight. I'm just going to rinse off a few strawberries, make sure that they're nice and clean. The reason that we're doing this is because we're doing an Italian-inspired bread pudding, and basically that means we're going to use some amaretto. Okay, so it has a little bit of an almond flavor, and we want a little bit of time for the strawberries to macerate, so I'm going to add a little bit of sugar and the amaretto to these sliced strawberries. And we're going to let them sit while we're making dinner. And then that way, by the time we're finished, we're going to have a nice, sweet strawberry surprise to add to the top of our bread pudding. And we're just going through a rustic rough chop of these. Nothing fancy, nothing spectacular. If you cut each strawberry into 4, 6, 8 chunks, that's really all you need to concern yourself with. Okay, we've chopped about 15 strawberries. And you'll note there's nothing spectacular about them. I didn't slice them evenly. They're not perfect. They're not absolutely even. And that's the part I love about it. We're going to make this kind of rustic. I'm just going to put them in a bowl. We're adding some amaretto, whatever your choice is, to the mix. And I'm going to assume I'm pouring 2 tablespoons full in here. And we're going to add about a tablespoon of sugar. And when I say tablespoon, I'm talking about a regular old spoon from your drawer. Okay? We're going to heap it up. We're going to pour it on our strawberries. The thing is the bread pudding is going to have sugar in it, so we don't want the strawberries to be too sweet. But the sugar itself will actually bring out some of the sweetness in the fruit. Along with, believe it or not, just a pinch of salt, which will also draw some of the liquid out of the strawberries and make a nice juicy sauce to that, okay? And we're going to stir these up, nice and simple. Yeah. And we're going to let that sit the entire time that we're making our dinner. Maybe 30 minutes. And then this will go on top of our bread pudding later. Okay. We're going to take about 2 seconds and clean this cutting board, because right now it looks like somebody slaughtered a pig in our kitchen, and the strawberries have stained the board a little bit. I want to get some of that off of there before it gets too bad. We'll clean this afterwards, but just in case you want something that's a really good cleaner and something that's also earth-friendly, if you take a half of a cut lemon and some of your kosher salt, out of your nice little salt keep, sprinkle it on and just kind of rub it in with a half a lemon. It'll not only bleach this off, but it will clean this and also disinfect it. So, good tip for you for later. The next step in our process this evening, we're going to make part of our salad, and I'm basically segmenting an orange. I've cut off the top and the bottom so it sits nice and flat on your cutting board. And we're just going to take our knife and work our way down the sides of the orange to get rid of the white part, any of the pith that's involved. That's the bitter part. Okay. You know what, if you've got a tiny bit left on there, really it's not the end of the world. It's all fine and dandy. We're going to cut that in quarters. And chop that into about 4 slices. And 4 or 5 slices. And we're going to do that with 3 navel oranges. And this is going to be in addition to our salad this evening that has the navel oranges, fresh arugula, and some oil-cured black Moroccan olives. Interesting set of flavors, but it's a good and savory salad to have as a side dish. And I'm just going to keep doing this, and we'll be back with you in just a minute. Alright, I'm going to fill up this pot with cold water. And I'm going to dice a couple of potatoes. I've peeled these. I'm sure that everybody can do that, so we omitted that step. But the reason that you want to use cold water is because the potatoes will heat evenly. If you use hot water, the outside of the potato will cook before the inside of the potato, and that is something we definitely don't want. Now, I'm making this dish, some potatoes and white beans, and what we want to do is to be able to make these particular potatoes not much larger than our bean. So when we dice these, we don't want giant chunks of potato. So these are actually going to cook really quickly in the water. And maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But you'll notice that the size of the dice is not very large. Whoops. Alrighty. It's not very large. But, you know, and this is one thing I do want to get that's fairly even. Like half-inch slices once you've chunked the potato up. I'm going to put this in the water. I'm going to cut the other potato. We're going to boil these things, actually parboil them, till they're almost done, because we're going to saute these with the beans so that the beans get a little potato flavor, the potatoes get a little bean flavor, add a little rosemary and some olive oil, and this is going to be delicious. So we'll be back with you in just a minute. So it's early spring, it's April, and I actually picked up a bunch of these beautiful fresh green onions from the farmer's market, and I'm excited to be able to use them because they're the first of the season. Obviously it's larger than a scallion, smaller than an onion, but this is going to serve a double-fold purpose for us this evening. I'm going to use the larger part of the onion in our beans and potatoes, but I want to put some of this green part of our scallion in the salad to give it a little fresh onion flavor. So I'm just going to dice this, and we're going to do with it as we will. But I want to use some of the greens in the salad. And, you know, it kind of depends on you as far as what size you like. I kind of like things rough, chop, and rustic. And so, you know, we'll save that for our salad. And then the rest of this beautiful onion, we're just going to dice this up. Kind of a rough chop to go with the beans and the potatoes. And when it's time to cook this, we'll add it, and I'll show you then. Alright, I actually just returned from Italy less than 2 weeks ago. And so I'm all inspired to make all this Italian food. But in Chicago, while I was there, I found these beautiful Italian rolls. They're kind of like mini loaves of bread, and we're actually going to have this beautiful bread pudding for dessert. But I thought I would use these in our dessert instead of bread. And you'll note they've been frozen, and they still smell and look as beautiful as the day that I purchased them. But we're just going to kind of rough chop these things as well. There's a beauty and simplicity to Italian cooking that I love, and one of the things that I love the most, for simplicity's sake, is the fact that most of the food is very rustic. Even in really nice restaurants, most of the food is really rustic. And so when you're dealing with the way things are cut, the way things are prepared, it's pretty much exactly like I'm doing it. You know, I just kind of cut that into quarters, and I'm just going to kind of cut hunks of this bread that later on are going to soak up a beautiful bread and, an egg and milk mixture, and of course amaretto. So we have our almond flavoring, and make our beautiful bread pudding. But you know what? You don't have to be really careful. You don't have to worry about it. Just basically take your bread, cut it up into chunks, but you'll also notice that I left the crust on. That's the best part of the bread. Don't get rid of it. It's good and tasty. So I'm going to cut up the other one, and when it's time to put this all together, we'll show you how to do that. All right, one of the things that you'll find commonly in a marketplace in Rome or any place else you go are these beautiful Moroccan black dried oil cured olives. They're kind of dry. They're not very liquidy. Sometimes you'll find olives in a watery brine. These are actually cured in olive oil. They're kind of wrinkly and they're kind of dry, but they're really easy to pit because they break apart very simply. Now, if you can't find these, you can use green olives. You can use black olives out of a can. Really, it doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that you use olives in this particular salad, because there's a particular taste and a salt that we're looking for. But I'm just going to crack a few of these open to get rid of the pit. We're going to add these to our salad.